Hello and welcome to another episode of True Ghost Stories. Hello and welcome. This is me standing in front of one of our many haunted houses. My family's had many paranormal experiences and I thought I'd make a few videos just to highlight a few of them. The first story we're going to look at today happened close to Fremantle in Western Australia. This is me standing in front of the markets, which are located in Fremantle, with another gentleman who plays the bagpipes. He fires flames out of the end of his bagpipes as he plays his rock anthems. He's pretty awesome. But enough of all this, let's get to the story.
Ghost riders in the sky.
This is a photo of my granddad Doug, with my mother seated upon his lap. The story today is going to focus mainly around him and his brother, Albie, pictured here. Doug and his brother Albie were in fantastic physical shape. They were like modern day footballers. Doug and his brother and their father were woodcutters, and so this kept them in absolutely top-notch condition. This incident happened back in the 1920s, 1930s, in that period, back when the boys were just teenagers. This is a photo of the boys, their brothers and their father, all taken together in the same place. The house where this incident took place was located in a little suburb close to Fremantle called Beaconsfield. This isn't the actual house, as the actual house burnt down years ago, but this one closely resembles it, so I put this here to give you an idea of what the house sort of looked like. A little bit like. Several of the family members had ghostly experiences in this house. His sister, Violet, first one we're going to talk about. This is Violet, pictured here. She was trying to sleep on a lounge in the family's lounge room. She was having a restless sleep as it was hot outside and a little bit muggy, and so sleep was a little bit broken, but she was dozing when this incident happened. Violet opened her eyes. To her shock and horror, she saw the dark shape of a man standing in the doorway to the lounge room. The man seemed to be staring at her, not moving, just standing there, ominously. As Violet looked on in terror, all of a sudden the man made a lunge towards her. He was getting closer and closer until she could see his face quite clearly, rushing towards the lounge at which she was sleeping on. In absolute fear and terror, she let a kick out from where she was lying, which sent her foot careening straight through the man, at which point he disappeared into nothing, and she got up from the lounge and ran from the room screaming. This alerted the father, who came running out of his room to see what all the commotion was, along with her brothers, who also came running out of their respective rooms. This is a photo of the father holding one of the children here. And they all looked around for this elusive man that they'd heard had attacked their sister and his daughter, but nothing was found. After this incident, Violet would no longer sleep in that room anymore and was too terrified to sleep in the house. They did have a bed out on the veranda for nights when it was hot, so she took to sleeping in this bed. But each night an owl would come and perch upon her bedpost. Violet didn't mind this, as she thought the owl to be better company than the ghostly stranger in the lounge room. The next story I'm going to tell you about is about my granddad, and his name was Doug, and his brother Albert. This is his brother Albert, pictured here. Doug and Albie were trying to sleep in their beds. When Doug was trying to get to sleep, he noticed a candlelight in the dark was going back past and forward past his door. This woke him right up, and he looked intently in through the darkness at this candlelight that was travelling back and forward past the door. Doug thought to himself, who the devil be up and about at this time of night, walking around with a candle? Doug was sure now that he did not know who this person was with the candle, and believed it to be a stranger or something weird. When all of a sudden the light turned in the door and came straight towards the bed where Doug was trying to sleep. Afraid, he's pulled the covers up over his head and waited for whatever was coming. Doug could see the candlelight come up beside his bed. He could feel the presence of somebody standing there looking ominously down at him. When nothing happened, he lowered the covers and looked, and the light was gone, and there was nothing there. When all of a sudden something grabbed him by the arm, which made him jump clean through his skin. This was Albie, his brother, who was sleeping right next to him, who'd also seen the light and said, Dougie, did you see that? Albie had been watching the same light with the same intensity as Doug, also awake, wondering what the hell it was, and also seen the light come towards the bed and stand looking ominously over the top of them. But he, as Doug had, he'd put his head under the blankets as well, afraid for his life. Doug said after he'd got himself a new pair of shorts, he agreed and said yes, he had seen it as well. All this commotion woke the whole family up. Doug and Albie's father got up, and this is him pictured here holding the young chap in this photo, their other brothers, and came out wondering what the hell was going on. They started to do a sweep of the house to see what they could see. When they looked out the lantern window down towards the back where their only means of employment, the truck was, this is the truck pictured here with my granddad, Doug, they were woodcutters. Him and his brother Albie and their father used to go out cutting wood and supply the town with firewood, so the truck was vital to their income. They saw a man hanging around the truck. Doug's father quickly came up with a plan. Doug, you go down one side of the truck. Albie, you go down the other. I'll come down the front and we'll catch him in a pincer movement and we'll have him. So the two boys headed on down either side of the truck while their father came down the centre. They all went down around the back, expecting to grab this stranger that was menacing with their livelihood. But when they got there was nothing there. He'd just disappeared. After much scratching their heads and looking around and not finding the man, they started to make their way back to the house. This is when they noticed there was 3 pine trees standing there, not a breath of wind. 2 of the pine trees were standing perfectly still, but the third one was being shaken as if blown by a hurricane. They thought this was all very, very weird. The brothers and their father went to the pine tree to investigate. And when they got there, they noticed that there was still no wind, what they could feel whatsoever, yet the pine tree was being shaken violently. They circled the pine tree looking to see if anyone was standing behind it, maybe shaking it or playing a game with them. As they searched around, they found nothing, and there was still no wind, and the tree was going absolutely berserk. They returned to the house a little bit spooked. Also at night, they would quite often hear gasping sounds coming from the attic. They could never figure out what these noises were, and in the daylight they'd go around the house looking, and they discovered that there was a lot of trees that were growing next to the house, and they put it down to the leaves of the trees must be rubbing on the tin roof, which were making the gasping sounds, as if someone was gasping for breath or being strangled. And they put that down to the noises, as the trees and the settling of the house, the night noises you get, and didn't think much more of it. There was some cold spots, and they didn't feel very comfortable in the attic, but yeah, they just put it down to weird feelings from the house. Anyway, one day the father was being driven home from work by a workmate, and he stopped out the front of the house to drop him off, and he said, "You don't live here, do you?" The father said, "Yes, this is our place." His friend proceeded to tell him that a man was found dead up in the attic. Asphyxiation seemed to be the cause of death, but there'd been strange goings on in the house ever since. After hearing this and discovering what they discovered, their minds went back to the gasping sounds and the scratching noises they'd heard coming from the attic and up in that area, and it freaked them out. They packed up within a couple of weeks and were gone, moved out of there, and found themselves a place that wasn't so haunted, and soon moved out of the house a few weeks later. Right, that's going to do it for story number 1. Hope you enjoyed Gasping for Air, and tune in for the next ghost story, which will be following soon. Until then, look after yourself, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Ghost riders in